A 3-night or a 7-night Disney cruise? What's the difference? And which one should you choose? There's actually quite a few differences between a 3-night and a 7-night cruise. We're gonna go over 9 of them. The first one, most 3-night cruises do not have any sea days. Obviously, the first night is embarkation. And then nights 2 and 3 are typically at ports. For example, the Disney Dream and soon-to-be Disney Wish typically sail out of Port Canaveral. A 3-night cruise will go to Castaway Cay and Nassau. And that doesn't leave any time for sea days. The reason sea days are important is because there's a lot more activities on the ship. And honestly, I really love sea days. It's really nice just to be out in the middle of the ocean. That being said, if you have anyone in your party that is not necessarily comfortable with cruising, this can be the way to go. And this can help you find out because there are multiple reasons that people may not want to do cruising. The 2 that I've found the most often are 1, seasickness, and 2, some people do not like not being able to see land. On a 3-night cruise, since it's not going to have those sea days and you are going to be in ports, 1, you will mostly see land all the time because during the day you're going to be at ports and you'll be out at sea at night, but it's dark and there's a lot of activities inside, so it's not as obvious. We did this the first time when we went on a cruise. I really wanted to do a 4-night so that we'd have that sea day. He was just not comfortable with that, so we did a 3-night, and I'm glad we did because then we knew what to expect. Also, with the 3-night, you're going to be closer to the ports, and the ship's not going to be moving as fast, which can help with potential seasickness. And with those 3 nights, you're going to keep rotating through those same ports. The longer cruises will go to different ports. That just adds a little more variety. They do typically have the same ones like the Eastern and Western Caribbean on the Fantasy, but there are also ones in Europe, from New York. There are some that vary, especially on the Magic. That brings us into number 2, there are more ports to visit. That being said, Castaway Cay is one of the favorites, and in particular, if you can get a double dip to Castaway, that used to be a lot more expensive. They've actually been available at a pretty good price these days. I have seriously been considering one of those. Number 3, another reason to love those sea days is Palo Brunch. Palo Brunch is one of our favorite meals on the ship. Palo is one of the specialty restaurants. It is an additional charge and it is 18 plus. At Palo, you can savor classic Northern Italian cooking with a modern twist. Palo brings its flair for fine Italian cuisine to a brunch service that features a selection of hearty favorites. Brunch is offered on all ships on most sea days, and you can check your Navigator app for their dates and times. They are by reservation, so you want to make sure when you do your online check-in to do your Palo reservation if that's important to you. If for some reason you don't get that reservation when you do your online check-in, if they're all sold out, just keep checking. It's very likely that someone will let go of a reservation and you can get one that way. If not, just check into guest services as soon as you get on the ship and ask them. In addition to the dining that is available on sea days, they also have our next point, which is there are more activities for adults and tiny humans on sea days. 2 of the activities that we really enjoyed were the cooking class. When we went, it was a mushroom risotto. There was a chef that had been with them for 18 years. He was a Palo chef, which is where the mushroom risotto is served on the ship. It was so good. And there was a little wine pairing to go with it, which was just fun. I didn't expect that at all. It was in the D lounge for adults only because of the wine. And he just stood in front and prepared the dish the whole time with a close-up camera on it so you could see exactly what he was doing. It was really fun. I really like cooking classes, and of course learning that dish in particular was wonderful. The other activity that was available on our 7-night was the ship tour. It just kind of went around and let you know what different sections of the ship had, and even though I had been on the ship previously, it was really a lot of fun to do that tour because they just gave you extra details. And if you've never been on the ship, it's a great way to start your trip because it helps you familiarize yourself. And on those bigger ships, you can get a little lost once in a while, and it might take you a minute to figure out where you're at. Not all decks go all the way through, things like that, so it's kind of fun to help familiarize yourself with the ship. And there are many more activities on sea days. Those were just 2 of our favorites. We also really like the TV trivia, movie trivia, and music through the decades trivias. All of those were actually a lot of fun. And speaking of fun, it is more enjoyable to do some activities when there are more people there. I found on both the 3-night and the 4-night cruises that there were not many people in the clubs. And it's also just fun to go to the nightclub and hang out. There was literally one other person in the nightclub. It's not as fun to dance in there that way. We did it anyway, but I'm just saying it's a little more fun when there's more people there, especially with their game show type activities. They've got a few of them that are for adults only that are really fun, but you do need more people there. And on the 3 and 4 night cruise, since it is a tiny human-friendly ship, a lot of the parents are going to bed earlier because the days are spent running around with family and at ports. So everyone's tired, I guess, at night. But on the 7-night cruise, the places were packed. Sometimes we couldn't even get seating. On the Fantasy in particular, Ooh La La would get really full, especially during the times when there was someone playing piano. The Tube is where they would have their adult activities and game show type things. That would get really full as well. And on the Wonder, we went to AZURE for a couple of different game shows and got there just a few minutes after they started, and almost every seat was taken. So there's definitely a lot more people out, but also remember, you gotta get there to get your seats. Social distancing was a big consideration with that. My understanding is that that is going away and seating is fully available again, but still, they would get full. And actually, that takes me into number 6, variety acts. There are more variety acts on a 7-night cruise. I don't remember seeing any on our 3-night cruise. And the variety acts will be comedians or magicians, typically with some comedy thrown in. I haven't gone to a lot of variety acts. There's just so much to do, you kind of have to pick and choose on some things. Number 7 is formal night. On the 3 and 4 night cruises, you're not gonna have a formal night. The 4-night cruise will sometimes have a semi-formal night, but on the 7-night cruise, you're gonna have both a semi-formal and formal night. You do not have to dress up for those if you don't want to. There is a dress code for the dining room. You can't wear your swim trunks in there, but you do not have to get all dressed up in your best suit or tuxedo for formal night. You're not gonna feel completely out of place, because some people do not want to get dressed up, especially that do it for their job all the time. Anyway, formal night can be really great. One, just to get dressed up if that's not something you usually do. So it's a lot of fun for us that way. I've also found that a lot of families like to take family photos on formal night. You can get pictures with the characters. They will also have their formal attire on, so that's really cute. I absolutely love Mickey and Minnie in their formal attire. It's completely adorable. They will also have multiple photographers set up out in the atrium, so you can get pictures with your family all dressed up. A lot of people like to do that for their annual family photos. People will use them for their Christmas cards, etc. I think the ones on the Fantasy and the Dream on the stairs in the atrium are just beautiful. And this time I saved my favorite subject for last. 8 and 9 both have to do with dining. Number 8 is character breakfast. A lot of the tiny humans really love the character breakfasts, and those are only available on the longer cruises. They're not going to have those on the 3-night. The 3-night cruises are just so busy and hectic, they don't have them. The 7-night cruise, though, will have a character breakfast. You do have to sign up in advance. Again, if you don't get it at check-in, just keep checking online, or when you get on the ship, go check in there and see if you can get it at guest services. For the character breakfast, feast on fabulous breakfast fare while mingling with some of your favorite Disney and Disney Junior characters. The last 7-night we went on was in 2019, and it was the Disney Junior characters exclusively at the character breakfast. Omelets, Mickey waffles, and French toast taste better when you add a delicious visit from popular Disney pals. On select cruises of 7 nights or longer, guests can pose for souvenir pics, collect autographs, and spend quality time with Mickey, Minnie, and the gang, or a host of Disney Junior pals. And it's important to note that guests may attend every ticketed character event, including the character breakfast, once per cruise. We have not personally done the character breakfast. I wasn't interested in Disney Junior, and honestly, that's one thing I just leave for the tiny humans and their families, because it is limited, and that's just not something I need to attend. Even though I love to be one of the honorary tiny humans on board, I like to leave the ticketed events that are just for them available for them. That being said, once there's a grandchild, I'm totally checking that out. And number 9, one of my favorite things versus the 3-night versus 7-night cruise is you're gonna have more variety in the menus. The first 3 nights are always gonna be the same menu, and if you have a 4-night cruise, that's gonna include a pirate night menu on most sailings. For all of the ships, they're pretty similar. For example, all of the first 4 ships have Animator's Palette on board, and all 4 of those menus have the pasta pursuettes on the appetizer. And actually, I'm pretty sure the entire menu is completely the same for the 3 or 4 night at Animator's Palette on every ship. On a 7-night, though, there's going to be 3 more menus that are added, or 7-night or longer. If you go longer than 7-night, there's going to be even more menus. And it depends a little bit on where the cruise is, what those menus will be. For example, Alaska has some menus that are for those cruises to be in line with that culture. They also have that type of dynamic on the European European sailings, they're just gonna have different menus on those longer sailings. So if you're a frequent cruiser with Disney Cruise, it's nice to have that variety thrown in because they don't really change their menus that often. As a matter of fact, I don't think I've seen them changed at all, except they did change the pirate menu once, sometime in the last 10 years. So let us know in the comments below, do you like the 3-night or the 7-night, and why? Neither one of them's right, neither one of them's wrong. Everybody's got their own opinions. I love the 7-night. I'd really look forward to trying a 14-night. I actually hope they keep doing the Panama Canal cruise, but time will tell. My pro tip has to do with food and coffee as well. If you've got a veranda, get a morning tray, go out and enjoy coffee on your veranda. If you don't have a veranda, get up and go to COVE Cafe. It's an additional cost for their coffees, but they're so good. Or you can get a coffee at the beverage location outside Cabanas, and the case inside COVE Cafe has morning treats that are already included. It's so nice to take that and just sit outside and watch the ocean. It's one of my favorite things to do. So let us know in the comments below, what's your favorite thing to do on a Disney cruise? And actually, our last video is everything I loved about Disney Cruise. You can go check that out. We also did one on everything we hated. There's not a lot, but not everything's perfect with anything, so we had a few opinions. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. Go ahead and ring that little bell. It'll let you know when we have any new videos, and we'll see you real soon with some more Disneys.